Scene script. Can you imagine an African magician masterminding the greatest heist of the century, stealing $242 million from a bank in Dubai? Meet our main character, a man whose name will keep shrouded in mystery for a while. Born and bred on the vibrant African continent, he was just an ordinary man with an extraordinary mind. From a young age, he demonstrated an unusual knack for puzzles and riddles, his sharp intellect setting him apart from his peers. Life was not easy, but it was his humble beginnings that were the birthplace of an ambition as vast as the African savanna. His journey into the world of magic was not one of chance, but rather a calculated decision. You see, our protagonist didn't have the luxury of attending a prestigious magic school or learning from a seasoned magician. Instead, he was a self-taught master of the craft, honing his skills through countless hours of practice and sheer determination. His magic was not the kind that involves wands or white rabbits, but rather the kind that manipulates perception and bends reality. This ordinary man, with his extraordinary mind, used magic as a tool to navigate through life. It was a means to an end, a way to bring a spark of joy to those around him, and perhaps a way to escape the harsh realities of his own existence. But as he delved deeper into the world of illusions, a grander vision began to take shape, an idea, a plan, an ambition that was as daring as it was dangerous. You see, our magician had a dream of a life that was 1,000,000 miles away from the poverty and hardship he had always known. A dream that was as audacious as it was impossible, but dreams have a funny way of turning into reality, especially when they are fueled by a mind as brilliant as his. But how did this magician morph into a mastermind criminal? Let's delve deeper. So how does one go about stealing $242 million without lifting a single weapon? Well, let's delve into the grand plan. Our magician, in this case, was not your typical stage performer. He was an artist of deception, an orchestrator of illusions, and his stage was the world itself. And like any masterful artist, his masterpiece required meticulous planning. Every detail, every contingency, every possible outcome had to be carefully considered and planned for. This was not a task for the faint-hearted. It was a game of chess, where the opponent was a highly secure bank and the stakes were astronomical. The first step was assembling the perfect team. Each member was chosen for their unique skills and abilities. There was the hacker, the master of digital landscapes, able to navigate the complex networks and systems of the bank with ease. Then there was the insider, a bank employee who knew the ins and outs of the bank's operations and could provide crucial information. And of course the magician himself, the puppet master pulling the strings, orchestrating the whole symphony of deception. The plan was ingenious in its simplicity. Instead of brute force or high-tech gadgets, they would use illusion and deception. The bank's security systems were designed to detect and prevent threats. But what if there was no threat to detect? What if the money simply disappeared like a coin in a magician's hand, only to reappear somewhere else? They would manipulate the bank's own systems, create a series of diversions and illusions, all while the magician performed his greatest trick. The bank's security would be looking in the wrong direction, chasing shadows, while the real action happened right under their noses. With the plan set, the magician and his team were ready to perform the greatest magic trick ever. A heist that would go down in history, not for its violence or audacity, but for its elegance, its subtlety. A magic trick on a grand scale where the stage was a bank and the audience was the whole world, none the wiser. The stage was set, the actors ready, and the magician prepared to pull the rabbit out of the hat. In the heart of Dubai, the city that never sleeps, nestled among towering skyscrapers, lay our target, the Dubai Bank. The magician and his team knew they had to be meticulous, for this was no ordinary bank. The security was top-notch, a labyrinth of lasers and cameras, a fortress seemingly impregnable. But our magician, he was no ordinary man. He was a master of illusion, of smoke and mirrors. With the precision of a surgeon and the stealth of a shadow, the team infiltrated the bank. They moved like whispers, leaving no trace of their passage. The bank's heavy doors might as well have been paper for all the resistance they offered. They were in. Bypassing the security was a dance, a ballet of light and shadow. Our magician, the maestro, led his team through the intricate dance floor of lasers and cameras. Each step calculated, each breath measured. They moved with the grace of phantoms, undetected, unseen. The vault was a dragon, a beast of steel and iron, guarding a treasure of $242 million. But to our magician, it was just another trick to be mastered, another illusion to be shattered. He whispered to the dragon, coaxed it, charmed it, and the beast yielded. The vault opened, revealing the glittering treasure within. The money, a sea of green and gold, was loaded into bags, each note a testament to their audacity. The alarm remained silent, the guards oblivious. The magician had once again pulled off the impossible, and then they were gone. They slipped back into the night, leaving the bank as undisturbed as a sleeping child. They had come and gone, and the fortress remained unaware of the siege it had undergone. The heist was complete. The magician had performed his greatest trick yet. And just like that, the magician and his team disappeared into thin air with $242 million. A bank robbed of $242 million. The culprits vanished without a trace. What happened next? In the wake of the audacious heist, the bank was thrown into disarray. The enormity of the amount stolen sent shockwaves through the financial world. The bank's reputation was on the line, its credibility questioned. They had to act swiftly and decisively. The bank's top executives immediately launched an internal investigation. They wanted to understand how such a breach could occur, how the so-called magician and his team managed to bypass their seemingly impenetrable security systems. The bank's internal investigation was just the beginning. Soon the local authorities were alerted and a criminal investigation was set into motion. The Dubai police, renowned for their efficiency, were on the case, their top detectives working tirelessly to piece together the puzzle left behind by the magician. As the news of the heist spread across the globe, Interpol was called in. This was no longer just a local incident, but an international crime that needed a coordinated response. The world's most sophisticated law enforcement agencies were now on the hunt for the African magician and his team. The investigation, however, was far from straightforward. The magician and his team had vanished without a trace. They had left no fingerprints, no DNA, nothing that could lead the investigators to them. It was as if they had disappeared into thin air, much like the $242 million they had stolen. And while the investigators were grappling with the puzzle, the world was captivated by the audacity of the heist. The media was abuzz with stories and speculation about the magician and his grand trick. An African magician, a Dubai bank, and a heist of epic proportions. It was a story that had gripped the world's imagination. The magician had pulled off the greatest magic trick ever, but could he avoid capture? As the dust settled, what lessons can we learn from this audacious heist? The first lesson is one of vigilance. In a world where money moves with the click of a button, we can't afford to let our guard down. This heist wasn't carried out by a team of skilled hackers, but by a single individual, a magician who exploited a lack of vigilance. It's a wake-up call for all of us, particularly those in positions of responsibility, to stay alert, to question and challenge rather than accept at face value. The second lesson is about security. The bank's security measures were breached not through brute force but through cunning and deceit. It's easy to focus on physical security, locks, alarms, cameras, but we mustn't forget the human element. After all, it's people who create security systems and people who can exploit them. We need to remember that security isn't just about technology, it's about understanding human behavior, being able to spot the signs of manipulation or deception. The third lesson is a cautionary tale about underestimation. The bank underestimated the magician because he didn't fit their idea of a threat. He was an outsider, a wild card, someone who didn't fit the usual profile. But in doing so, they made themselves vulnerable. We need to challenge our assumptions, broaden our perspectives. Threats can come from anywhere, anyone. It's a mistake to believe that only certain types of people are capable of certain types of actions. In a world that's increasingly interconnected and complex, these lessons are more important than ever. Vigilance, security, the ability to challenge our assumptions. These are the tools we need to protect ourselves and our institutions from those who would do us harm. In the end, the magician's story serves as a stark reminder that things aren't always as they seem. And sometimes the greatest threats come from the most unlikely of places.